Hey there, Pyromaniacs. It actually happened. The rumors were true. At the premiere of this year's Halo World Championship, Halo Studios officially announced Halo Campaign Evolved, a full, ground-up remake of the original Halo Combat Evolved made entirely in Unreal Engine 5. And it looks okay, I guess? Before I go on, I want to preface by saying that I've been playing a lot of the Silent Hill 2 remake lately. I swear this is relevant, trust me. And I've really been enjoying my time with it. You know, when I'm not silently shitting myself. That being said, I'm also well aware of the problems that fans of the original game have with it. I know that the change from a fixed camera to an over-the-shoulder view removes a lot of the uncanny and detached feeling that the original game evoked, and that certain changes to characters have harmed or even completely removed crucial symbolic elements of the wider narrative. But even then, I think that the Silent Hill 2 remake is a fantastic game on its own, and succeeds at retelling one of the greatest stories that video games have ever given us. But that's just it. Even as someone who's never played the original, I still don't see it as a replacement for that game. I can still look at this remake, see its strengths, and hold it in high regard as its own thing. To put it simply, I like the game, but I'm also open and understanding to those that are underwhelmed by it. So, with that out of the way, what the f*** did they do to my Halo? Halo fans have been, well, Halo fanning over this announcement for a while now, and I definitely understand why. From a purely objective level, the game looks good. The graphics are high fidelity, the gameplay is fluid, the cutscenes look nice, the game looks, well, good. See, Combat Evolved is not Silent Hill 2. It was revolutionary, but it's not a masterpiece. So I'm actually pretty open to a remake changing some things around. But the changes made to Campaign Evolved have, well, I would say it left people scratching their heads, but all the changes are pretty on brand for the company formerly known as 343 Industries. Yes, they've managed to add all the classic 343 trimmings to Combat Evolved. COD-style sprinting mechanics complete with inexplicable anime speed lines, aiming down sights, and the removal of visual damage indicators on enemies such as flaring shields and blood splatters in favor of esport-esque hit markers. There are actually a handful of changes to the game that I either like or am at least open to. Little quality of life things that just bring the experience more in line with the future games. Like the addition of hijacking enemy vehicles that was initially introduced in Halo 2, and the apparent addition of other weapons from future games like the energy sword or the battle rifle. Besides the addition of sprint, which has always been a war zone of a topic in the fandom, the game makes one other cardinal sin that's had many hardcore Halo fans acting very, well, Halo fanny over. That being the aforementioned objectively good graphics. Well, maybe objectively good is stretching it a bit. There's definitely a lot of that signature Unreal 5 pop-in going on in some places. But still, from the perspective of pure fidelity, this does look more realistic than the original. And that's the kicker right there. Combat Evolved had a very otherworldly ambience to it. The landscapes looked very Earth-like, but there was something uncanny about it. A foreboding emptiness only broken up by strange alien structures made of tarnished metal and stone. The world had these strange alien hues of purple and green as the sky is plunged into a seemingly perpetual twilight. It wasn't just the Pacific Northwest like Halo Studios seems to think, and those tarnished alien structures that have been around for millions of years are now made out of this polished chrome that looks like it was just built yesterday. Nothing about it gives this foreboding ancient energy. Nothing about it says that you shouldn't be here. The most fascinating thing about the graphics is how it shows that the higher-ups at the company, even the new higher-ups at the company, still haven't learned anything in the 15 years they've been working on this series. To explain what I mean, we need to go all the way back to 2011 when 343's first Combat Evolved remake came out, the infamous Combat Evolved Anniversary. Technically, it was a remaster, not a remake, but bear with me. Anniversary, even at the time, was widely panned for screwing with the art direction of the original game, most notably replacing all the character models with their Halo Reach counterparts, which was a game with a very different aesthetic. So explain to me why they did the exact same thing again. In Campaign Evolved, almost all the models are lifted directly from Halo Infinite, from the enemies to the Marines to even the weapons. Even Chief himself seems to just be that $20 Mark V armor in Infinite's store. So why? Why make all these changes? Why ignore the original game's aesthetic in favor of a more realistic art style? Why add all these modern gameplay mechanics that aren't in the original? Usually with this company, the answer to that is simple. they're still on that endless hunt for the legendary white whale known as the broader audience. And that's definitely a major component, as it always is. But this time it's a bit more nuanced than that. See, this is going to be the first Halo game to be released on a Sony console.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria!
This really isn't too much of a surprise. We all knew that Microsoft was in the process of pulling a Sega for a while now, with games like Gears of War Reloaded and Hellblade 2 also getting PS5 releases earlier this year. But Halo is the definitive indicator that Xbox as we know it is most likely gone for good. So with a new platform comes a new audience. An audience that's never played Halo before, and has instead spent the last 20 years playing games like Uncharted, God of War, Horizon, and The Last of Us. PlayStation has spent the last few console generations fostering a culture centered around massive and extremely polished cinematic experiences. So diehard PlayStation fans have very particular expectations when it comes to games. As a fan of stylized graphics, I think they're very stupid expectations, but that's not the point. When I see a Halo remake with all the modern shooter elements, more cinematic cutscenes, and a less stylized and more realistic art style, I see a Halo that feels specifically designed to replicate the kinds of well-polished experiences that the average PlayStation fan has grown accustomed to over the years. Combat Evolved is a lot of things, but it's not exactly what I'd consider polished. It has flaws, rough edges, cut corners, and a myriad of different quirks that are testaments to when it was made and the limitations that Bungie had to work with back then. Those quirks are things that Halo fans have grown to love, and many consider them to be part of the game's overall personality. But when appealing to the same audience as The Last of Us and God of War Ragnarok, those quirks instead become blemishes that need to be smoothed out. I'm sure this is also part of the reason for the remake's addition of the new prologue chapter. The average modern game nowadays can take anywhere from 15 to 50 hours of playtime to complete, so a single-player only title like Campaign Evolved is gonna need to find ways to pad out the original's 10-hour-long campaign, which honestly makes the insistence on the addition of Sprint feel even more baffling, since they're pretty much shooting themselves in the foot in that regard by speeding up an already relatively short game. At the end of the day though, the remake looks good, but it's also very safe. I'm sure if new gamers that have never played Halo before decide to give it a shot, they'll enjoy themselves, just as I enjoy the Silent Hill 2 remake as someone who's never played Silent Hill 2 before. I also want to reiterate that I don't think Combat Evolved is some sacred lamb that can't be improved upon, but the way they're going about it feels less like a way to improve what's already there, but instead more like a calculated approach to create a product that will draw in the most of PlayStation's currently untapped audience. Once again, it just looks safe. To sum it up, my current thoughts on this game are a coin toss between cautious optimism and creeping dread. Campaign Evolved is far from the kind of thing that will kill Halo forever, but it's not exactly a triumphant return either. It's the Silent Hill 2 remake again. A technically impressive and often beautiful reinterpretation that still seems to miss the point of some very crucial artistic decisions that the original made. Who knows? Maybe PlayStation players will find something to love in this remake, and if the success of Helldivers 2 is anything to go by, I'm sure they will. But legacy fans can still tell that much of this game's charm seems to have gotten lost in translation along the way. But hey, if nothing else, at least we got a pretty movie out of this. Look, Foehammer shows up in the cutscenes now! We finally know what Foehammer looks like! That's so cool! But with all that said, thanks for watching. If you like this video, leave a like and become a pyromaniac yourself by subscribing. Until next time, stay nerdy, my friends. I got special there, very positive,